It's been a couple weeks since I did a video. I've had a lot going on. Um, so I realize your project's due today. On the off chance that you haven't heard, I am not great. I'm not taking points off for being late. One, things that come up for me, but two, there's a lot of stuff you guys have to do for your core classes as well as this. So I understand, as long as you're getting the work in by the end of the marking period, there's no points off for the for it being late. The deadlines are really for moving you through each project. They may not always relate to each other. I did try to build to relate each project to the one before, so that you can. I'm not trying to teach you something new on every project. I'm just trying to build on what you've learned. So trying to make the overall trimester easier in the long run. So we are taking what we learned from the first couple of projects. So we learned form, and in there you're also learning value, because you're shading, and shading is the action of using value. So I kind of put the two in together. There is a little more to value, though there's a lot more to each one of these, but we're learning the introduction to them in a more technical way. And so now what you're doing is you're taking the last project, which was to shade a ball, which is a sphere, a cube, a cylinder, and these are all created. You can do the shapes, but they're really created more by shading them. So you're taking that information from that project, which was really just a study, just a way to understand how to start building your shapes together. Now, I posted a picture in the Google Classroom of this guy, my youngest, named him Tommy, and so he's Tommy the robot. And as you can see, I've drawn cylinders, spheres. It just looks like a ball, right? Just a circle, because it's not shaded. And I've combined them. I've put in a house, which is a cube with a pyramid. For the chimney, I did a cylinder. The trees are all cylinders. And so now the process of doing this is to shade it. This in the classroom would be where I would start asking you to use your different art pencils. And at the school, On Ground School, we have the ability to have you have art pencils, not just your middle of the road HB pencil, but we would have the range. So we would have, I don't know if I can get that in focus. We would have like a 7H pencil all the way up to like a, well, we might only have 4H at the school, but it's still same concept, light to dark. So that's, let's see. I'm trying, it's a 4B. It's not going to focus. So from light to dark. And this is the project I would have you do that. If you only have the number 2 pencil, this is where you're going to have to depend on the full range of this pencil. So you're going to start out very, very lightly. Do not press. And if you have to practice before you shade your project, please do. I am, for all rights and purposes, because this would be the project that I would use to have you working with your full range of pencils. I'm going to do that. Plus, I like him and I want him to be a complete work of art. The other thing that you guys probably don't have is a range of erasers. So I have this cool little dude. He is, it's an eraser and a pencil. So I can erase fine little details. I love this dude. He's like more of an edge, creating an edge for erasing. This is your standard eraser. This is for large area erasing. So for all those pain in the bottom mistakes that you make, this is the dude to have. Okay? And then you guys all love playing with this dude. This is the kneaded eraser. So this is the one that, you know, we kind of use as our stress relief in the classroom when you really should just be using it to help you create the shading. So this little dude is if you've gone too dark in an area and you want to lighten it up, that's what this dude is for. He's not for rubbing, he's for dabbing. Okay? So those are your erasers, and those are the pencils. So those are the things we would be doing in the classroom. Do I expect all of you to have that? No. So here's what I am gauging your projects on is this guy. A number 2 pencil and a standard eraser if you have one of these, great. So now we're going to take those concepts of the sphere. We have to, when we're doing our work of art and we're building shape on shape on shape. So I think what I'm going to do, I was trying to think of what I could add to this to show you what I mean by adding shapes. Okay, so there's one more thing I wanted to show you. On my flower, I have 2 leaves, but if you look at them very closely, they're actually cone shaped. So that's a cylinder and a pyramid mixed. So those are a cone shape, the leaves. I've made them a cone shape. So just have fun putting your shapes together, and then you have to decide, where's my light source coming from? Right? That's important to know. We went over that in the learning form videos. So if you need to refresh yourself you don't have to watch the whole thing, but as long as you get the gist of what it is you're doing. I'm not going to shade, obviously, this whole thing. And I am going to start with a very light pencil. So I'm going to start mine with the 7H. And I'm only going to shade in, I think, I'll start on a leg. Yeah, and then you guys can get the idea of, I want you to shade based on a light source, and of course each object then, as the light's hitting it, will cause a shadow. But I'm not looking for that level, I'm just looking for you to show me how you would shade each object based on the light source and putting them together to create a work of art. So let's move you down here. Let's see if I can. Gotta move the erasers. Right. Oh, and my paper to protect from smudging, unwanted smudging. And because these are metal, I've made him metal, I would also use a smudging stick. Because I want that smooth, shiny texture to his surface, I would use a smudging stick for that. So controlled smudging, guys. I don't like smudging for everything. I do like smudging, but I like controlled smudging for it to have a purpose. So I'm going to choose my light source to be over here. And if I have that remember, it's going to hit the outer edge of each object, right? There's a lot of detail in this. I don't expect this level of detail for you guys. But I want you to show me, I think instead of a leg, I'm going to do the arm because it's closest to the light. And I really want you to see how this is going to work. So and I don't want you to draw those same lines. You've got to try to do this just visually on how it's going to hit. So I have this little part here, and it comes up to that, and it's metallic. There's probably going to be reflective light, but I am just going to fill in this little section right here. And I'm doing that with my number 4 because I know it's going to be dark. It's farthest away from the light. And it's just a small hidden little spot. Okay? Now I'm going to go back in, and I'm going over this with my light pencil, and I'm not pressing. I'm going very lightly, and I'm trying to do this in a circular motion because, again, this is the sometimes it's hard to talk and concentrate at the same time. This is going to be very smooth. So even though I may use the smudging stick for this, I still want to utilize what my pencil will do for me. And thinking about my texture choices, which we learned earlier in the year, the texture choices are crosshatch. I would ask you guys. I'd be like, what are they? But they're crosshatch, points or dots, line, circular, which is what I'm doing right now, scribble, zigzag. I think I'm missing one. But you guys get the idea. Okay. And you can be like, oh, she missed this one or she missed that one. Show off your knowledge, guys. Okay. So if this edge is my lightest point, right, then maybe the number 2 pencil I used to draw this was a little too dark. So I think I'll use my edger tool to lighten that up just a little bit. I don't want to totally get rid of it. Being very controlled, just to lighten it up without smudging, because I don't want to smudge this. Okay, I'm going to use a tissue to clean off my paper. Alright, I'm going to go back in. So remember, curved surfaces have reflective light. Because they're curved, the light bounces around and creates that little bit of lightness on the other side. It's not going to be as light as the side that's facing because of the curvature, but it will cause that light. So this, also, it's a cylinder, but it's also going into that cone shape. Okay, and I'm still working with my lightest pencil, and I'm just going to build till that pencil's value is used up. I won't smudge till the very end. Okay. And I want to get a little bit darker, so that was a 7H, this is a 3H. That's a pretty big jump. So I'm just going to be very careful. Now I am not going to First of all, I want this to be more accurate as to how the light's gonna hit. Just because I will eventually finish this guy. Tommy will eventually be finished. I'm gonna go back in with the 7H. It starts out looking really flat, guys, because that's what you want, really, and you will eventually build on it. Okay, now my 3H, making sure I have the right one. Now I am going to take this 3H and just barely go along this edge over here. Just to blend that in. And then I'm just going to fill this whole side. And I will get a little less each time. And I want to blend this a little better to the highlighted area where the sun is hitting. Blend that out. And again, I keep going back and forth with my pencils because that's what you need to do when you're blending. Okay. Again, another big jump. This is my number 2 pencil. Now this time I'm not going to go over to the very edge. That I want to be very light. This is very shiny, and what I will do in the end is go in and make, see how I drew lines here to represent the highlight, so that'll be very dark next to a white. So at least if I don't use a white to put in there, I will be adding white. But at the very least, it'll be the value of the paper, which is the lightest point unless you add white. Now, I typically should have taken into account this with this, because when the light hits this, it's going to cause a reflection on that, which is going to cause a light spot. So if I think about that, then a light spot would happen kind of like that. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go darker with that. But I don't want to go all the way to the edge with it. Okay, you should start to see it forming that cylinder. Now I'm going to go in with my 2B. I always love that joke. To be or not to be. But it's pretty corny. But now I'm going to start not going all the way to this edge. Now I'm going to start just reducing how much I'm going in. Right? And this edge is probably going to have a dark and a light together. Okay, I'm going back to my 3H because this is getting a little unblended down here. I want to blend it. to my 2B. Back to my 3, H. My smudger, because I want to show you real quick what happens when you smudge. Gives it a totally different textural feel from your eyes. So we're basically trying to draw what we would feel with our hands, but we're trying to do it visually. So it's a little dark now that I've smudged it. So I want to go back in, kind of create that line, back in with the kneaded eraser, or as we like to call it in class, the stress reliever. Okay, I'm going to go back in with my smudger. And you could just roll up these. You can just roll up paper and create these. Okay. I am going to go in with my 6B now. And this is where I'm really going to make that dark spot darker. And that's going to make that highlight stand out even more. Okay. Go back in, smudge that out a little bit. Okay, now if you remember on the cylinder, when the light hits it, we have the line. So this is a flat surface, this isn't going to be open. So if this is a flat surface, then the way the light hits it is going to come this way, but this is going to cause a shadow. So I want the shadow from here. So I'm just going to lightly draw that in and then lightly color the whole thing in with my pencil. I don't like that I created a wonky shape there. I want that to be smooth. So I'm going to go back in and erase that edge a little bit. Get rid of the eraser debris. We're running out of time. I don't want this to be too much longer. Okay, so doing this. So if the light comes this way, right? I'm gonna have a shadow here, and this is my 3. Not what I want. There we go. I'm creating a little bit of a drop shadow, and again, getting a little wonky with my erasing, or with my shading, so I'm going to go in and erase and make that the shape I want it better. You know, and you can do this if you have a point on your yellow eraser, you can do it with that too. The pencil just makes it a little easier for me. Well, for anybody really, but I am lucky enough to have it. So, again, I don't expect you guys to have all the things I have here. So, okay. And again, with any work of art, guys, it's gonna take you a while. Mine take me probably longer than most people would like, but you know, I do have other things I have to get done in the day, so I try to do a little bit and go from there. Smudge that out a little bit. And this is where I really want to come in, because this whole thing is going to be very shiny. Except for when we get back here. And then it's going to be very dark back here. Okay, so I did the cylinder. See how that's going? Okay. Each individual object, I have a lot here. I'm gonna do the sphere hopefully really quickly, and then you guys can work on yours, and you know, just apply to each. So again, right here, and this edge is gonna be lighter, so I want to lighten that up. Eraser debris, if it'll get in the way, excuse me, if you're not careful. So, and it can wreak havoc on your project. So, circular motion. Okay, I'm taking my kneaded eraser. That was my 7H, but I really make it a point. I'm going to make my highlight. I'm going to blend that in a little better too. That's going to drive me crazy. Now, I'll take my 3H and stab myself in the hand with a pencil. Yep, that's what I did. Okay, so now we're going to create that blending. Not getting too close to where we made our highlight. And knowing that there's that reflection Okay, so now my HB pencil, and I'm going back further on the sphere each time I'm doing it so that that blending continues to happen. Now again, because this is going to reflect, this is going to come down like this. So we have this area, which is circular. There we go. And I'm going to take and start creating that. Now I think I've gotten this back part as dark as I want it for the reflective light that goes around it. So I won't go all the way to the edge. So 2B,